What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at some Bednarik finalists or candidates for the 2024 season, which is the Defensive Player of the Year in the college football season. Before that, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe on the channel. Any support is welcome and appreciated. Let's get into the video. Starting off with Will Johnson out of Michigan. This five-star cornerback came in his freshman year and made an immediate impact. Sophomore year played even better as their cornerback one. I mean, he's really proven himself to be that kind of lockdown boundary corner that you really need in a defense to be super successful and be able to, compete with teams like Ohio State when they have guys like Marvin Harrison, as you saw him play very well in that Ohio State game, although he did get beat at times. He was he was 1v1ing basically. Um, just doing ones against Marvin Harrison the entire game, which is not an easy task when he's, you know, projecting to be this incredible NFL wide receiver already, even before he's in the league. So, Will Johnson, probably the best coverage corner, maybe the best defensive player in all of college football, returning for his most likely final season. Obviously, cornerbacks rarely win the Bednarik because they don't put up stats that you like to see um, out of award-winning players. But if he throws up some interceptions, maybe gets some fumbles in there, scores a touchdown or two, he could steal it easily. Next up on my list of Bednarik candidates is Barrett Carter. In his 2 seasons starting for the Clemson Tigers, he has produced 135 tackles, 20 TFLs, and 9 sacks. He's also broken up 13 passes. He has 3 interceptions and forced 2 fumbles. So, with that being said, season to season, not as insane of numbers as it sounds, but Jeremiah Trotter is leaving for the NFL draft as well as a bunch of Clemson's key defenders. So Barrett Carter being one of the centerpieces that they had, not leaving allows him to step up into this role where he can put up some incredible numbers. And you see linebackers win the Bednarik a ton. Last year it was Peyton Wilson who put up a ton of tackles as well as sacks, TFLs, interceptions, forced fumbles, which is something that Barrett Carter has the opportunity to do. He has done, just not as on a larger scale like you would like to see out of a Bednarik winner. I could see him take a big step up and put those numbers on the board and win this award. Another great linebacker heading into the 2024 season is Harold Perkins from LSU. As a true freshman, came in and produced very good numbers, filling out the stat sheet: 73 tackles, 14 TFLs, 8.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. He was a very productive true freshman. Sophomore season, not as productive, but still a very good season. 75 tackles, 13 TFLs, 5.5 sacks, and then 5 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles to add on top of that. Second team All SEC. I think with the new defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, coming in, maybe he uses him more as a pass rusher, which will hopefully see those sack numbers come up. And, you see guys like Will Anderson recently, Chase Young, Josh Allen, pass rushers that have won this award. And it's really just because they they got those sack numbers that they needed. I'd love to see Blake Baker, their new defensive coordinator, use him more as a pass rusher. Kind of like how, um, if I'm going to explain it in NFL terms, how Micah Parsons was used with the Cowboys. That's not how he was used at Penn State. So I'd like to see Harold Perkins kind of used like the Cowboys used Micah Parsons. All right, I wanted to shout out this Big Ten defense because they were incredible this past season and their offense really held them back. But at the centerpiece of the Iowa defense was Jay Higgins. You got guys like Cooper DeJean and Sebastian Castro, and Castro will be returning, but Jay Higgins was that piece that really ignited everyone. The middle linebacker is obviously the quarterback of the defense, as people like to say, but last season led the nation with 171 tackles. This guy just has a nose for the ball. He's all over the field. He gets interceptions, he gets sacks, a ton of TFLs. Iowa desperately needs their offense to improve, but obviously Higgins being on the defense, you like their chances because, like I said, the quarterback of the defense is the most important piece, and he is a very high IQ quarterback-esque defender that will help everyone get better. And obviously, the production that he has, he is one of the favorites for the Bednarik going into 2024. I did want to mention Trey Moore, UTSA transferring to Texas this next season. This guy put together a very productive season. 2023 had 14 sacks and 17 tackles for loss, en route to winning the American Athletic Defensive Player of the Year. If he comes into Texas in their SEC season debut and puts up similar production, this guy would be a potentially a shoe-in for the Bednarik. Those kind of pass rushing stats at a SEC school would be incredibly impressive. It's iffy on how Texas will use him, as far as the rotation goes, because they have the depth to rotate a lot of guys in. And when you see that, there's a lot less production. You look at a team like Michigan this past season; they had probably 12 guys play on the defensive line consistently, and a lot of their guys didn't have statistics that could win awards. So obviously Moore has the talent, but we'll see if the talent translates to Texas and the SEC. Next up on the list is Xavier Watts. Moving away from the edge rushers, another big shout out to Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami, another very productive edge rusher that could easily step up and win the Bednarik. But we're moving into defensive or safeties now. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. I believe he won the Best Defensive Back award this past season, just edging out Ricardo Hallman out of Wisconsin, leading the nation with 7 interceptions this past season. He had 2 interceptions against number 1 overall pick of 2024, Caleb Williams. But outside of the takeaways, Watts is a very good safety. 52 tackles, 3 TFLs, 4 passes defended. Given the favorable schedule that Notre Dame has in 2024, Watts has a lot of potential to put up some similar statistics to last season, along with the fact that the defense that they are returning is a lot of veterans. So they're obviously most likely going to make the college football playoff, barring some very poor performances out of their team. But expect to see Xavier Watts' name called a lot when watching Notre Dame. He is a ball hawk and a very good center fielder. Heading into the 2024 season, Caleb Downs is transferring to Ohio State. The fallout of Nick Saban's retirement is a huge impact on the college football scene. A ton of Alabama players transferring. Just crazy the amount of players that are moving around because of it. But one of the main players that Alabama lost was safety Caleb Downs. Ohio State is going to love this guy. He is an incredible player as a true freshman, getting 107 tackles. Probably the main piece of one of the best defenses in all of football, probably the best defense in the SEC outside of Georgia. He also had 2 interceptions, broke up 4 passes, and forced a fumble. And although they lost to Michigan, had the talent to easily be another national champion. Ohio State has a ton of returning players. Players like JT Tuimoloau. I always butcher that. It's just so hard. Jack Sawyer and Denzel Burke are coming back as well. You could talk about any of these guys for that award, but Caleb Downs, given his performance as a true freshman nonetheless, you love his odds to improve just a little bit and take away this award as a safety.